What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris, this is 4K Motoring, and I know it's been a while. We have another Corvette video today. This thing, as you guys know, is over 20 years old, and because of that, there's always one issue after another after another. Today's is hopefully fairly simple. We seem to have a puddle that keeps developing under the front of the car. And this has been going on for a little while, accompanied with a notification on the dash saying low windshield washer fluid. Clearly we have a leak somewhere, and we're going to go ahead and get that fixed. Now, if you guys remember, this car in my time owning it has already had a new windshield put in and a new windshield wiper motor put in. So this whole cowl was painted and basically taken out. The lines that it had for the windshield washer basically was this kind of hardened rubber, tough rubber tubing that had basically cracked. I don't know if it's plastic or rubber, and it had basically cracked, and I kind of had a workaround going to get fluid up, but that wasn't working so well. I thought that was going to be our failure point, but it turns out it wasn't. As I follow the water underneath, I can feel it run down from kind of right in the middle of the tank, so doesn't feel like it's from the actual fill sensor, because you can feel all the way around that, but it's back under the actual pump where this line comes in. So we're going to go ahead and pull this out and hopefully replace that pump. Ultimately, we just need the new seal on the pump, I believe, because this pump is still working fine. But while we have it out, we're going to go ahead and look at it and consider replacing it. We have a new one. They're not very expensive. It's not going to hurt anything. So we're going to go ahead and get that done. Should be pretty easy. Fingers crossed. So realistically, we only have a few connection points. We have a 10mm bolt. You're going to need kind of a deep well socket here on the front. We've got another 10mm right to the inside here towards the radiator. And then we've got our electrical connection for the level sensor. And then we have the actual hose coming out here that's connected to the actual windshield washers. So we're going to go ahead and unclip the electrical connector. We're going to disconnect this since it's already kind of broken. And we're going to go ahead and take off these two bolts. Hopefully this comes straight out. So our clip can be pretty easily manipulated here and set aside. Our bolt I can see down there that we dropped, and our pump has a little connector underneath that we can remove. Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. All right, when we look at our pump here on the back side of our washer reservoir, we can see a lot of the orange where it's been leaking out of the pump, so I think our pump probably is bad more than just the seal underneath. We do have a replacement part right here. This was from Advance Auto, but it's available on Rock Auto and Amazon. I'll leave a link below. This looks like an exact fit pump. There's nothing holding this in really other than just tension. So we're just going to kind of pull that out a little bit on top and wiggle it. It comes right out. Pretty dirty. You can see the orange there on the tip where it was all coming out. And we can see how our hose connects, where we're going to have a replacement hose. There's a small O-ring right here that comes in the kit that's going to get replaced, a new plug, and it all should go back together. So what we ended up sourcing from Amazon was this tubing that's supposed to be good for automotive fluids. It is a 3mm inner diameter and a 5mm outer diameter tube, and that's the important part. Only need about a foot of it. Now, I went ahead and pulled the windshield wiper, which is a 14mm bolt, and a couple of these plastic clips to get under here to get to the actual connector where this goes from 1 into 2 for the 2 windshield wipers. And I plugged this in and I put a little gasket maker around it because there is no barbs on this that would keep it in. And then on the other side, I ran a little bit of gasket maker as well as I stuffed it into the tube that's going to keep it on the pump. And we're going to let that set up. It should be tacky in about an hour. Fully cures in about 24 hours. We're going to give it a little bit of time to set up, that way we don't yank it out. And we're going to go ahead and pull everything back in. That pump snapped right in, no problem at all. Put the rubber gasket in first, and then slide the pump into the gasket. Everything's snapped in. It's in the OEM locations. I'm not at all worried about that. We'll go ahead, like I said, let the stuff dry. We'll throw it all back in and fill her up, see how she works. Well guys, we have it all back together. Everything works surprisingly well. I was actually impressed with how well it worked. I haven't had the system kind of spray this flawlessly since I got the car. Clearly this was needed. I drove through a puddle after I cleaned it all, so it's a little bit dirty now, but the reservoir is back in. The cap is the only thing that's not fully back together yet. It was split, so we do have to get a new cap to put on there. Otherwise, the sensor's working, our new tubing's working. You can see the fluid flow out from it. See the slow-mo video on that. All of our sprayers work well. It dumps the fluid directly onto the wipers, so you have a good, effective clean, and everything works just fine. Again, this was a very inexpensive, very easy to do job. If you guys have one of these Corvettes, they're now getting over 20 years old, and all these little rubber pieces are starting to fail, plastic and rubber, so it's a good idea just to go ahead and upgrade this. Down in the description, I'm going to leave links to all the parts you're going to need. It is very inexpensive and very easy to do. If you guys have any questions or any other quick fixes that you think should be done on this car, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.